Before we start today's video, I want to thank every one of you who sent me a positive message, positive letter, all the people who have been praying for me, everybody who has sent me a donation, the words of encouragement, all the people who've come over to Patreon and supported this channel. I couldn't do this without you. So I want to take this time and I want to thank every one of you for your support and prayers, because this would not exist without you. And I want to thank all of you who have commented down below. You have helped so many people. You've woken up so many people and got so many people prepared. I couldn't do this by myself, but because of you, we have woken up so many people. We've saved a lot of lives. We've got a lot of people motivated and awake, and most of it because of you guys. So I want to thank every one of you. Again, this doesn't exist without you. So thank you for all your thoughts, prayers, your help, all the kind letters. Thank you so much. It's Friday, August 14th, 2020. I want to get right into this video today. You know, there is just so much happening. Dow Jones up 34 points today. And we got the news yesterday that there were nearly another million job losses last week. And when we account for people who've run off of unemployment, people who are ineligible for unemployment, people who haven't even gotten through the unemployment lines yet, we would be well over a million. And you know, I'm estimating around 40 plus million people are unemployed presently in America. Many of you say 50 to 60 million. This is way beyond the Great Depression. Yet, as I'm watching the financial shows this morning, it just seems like everything is fine. They just ignore reality. You know, these people, these economists, these financial experts, these people wearing their $2,000 suits on CNBC or Fox Business, they're just calling for more stimulus and a cure for this infection, and that's going to fix everything. The market's going to continue to soar. The economy is going to be fine once we have a cure and once we pump in more stimulus. But right now, U.S. bankruptcies are already at a 10-year high. We've got big trouble, ladies and gentlemen. Permanent business closings continue to soar. Yesterday, 967,000 Americans jobless filed for first-time unemployment benefits. Americans owe billions, not millions, but billions in back rent. Mortgage delinquencies are rising. Does this sound like a V-shaped recovery to you? Does this sound like a booming economy? And as much as I want to support the president, it drives me absolutely bananas when he takes credit for this stock market, which is the most rigged Ponzi scheme on planet Earth, and when he takes credit for this economy that is worse than the Great Depression. We are seeing a rising number of over-leveraged zombie companies. Another big problem here. And right now, we are waiting for this tsunami of defaults and bankruptcies that are right on the horizon. This is all coming. It's already begun. You can already see what's happening. And it is going to get much, much worse. I was reading an article online today. It's all over the internet. You can Google it. And it was showing dramatic photos of thousands of cars that are lining up at this Texas food bank. And I read this on The Hedge today. It's all over the internet. 90 volunteers distributed 10,000 boxes of food. People began lining up before dawn. People said without this help, they would probably go hungry. Another person said, when I open my refrigerator, there's very little there. This is taking place in Texas, of all places. So this doesn't sound like a recovery. This doesn't sound like an economy that is booming. This sounds like the Great Depression. We can't even compare today to 2008. We are way beyond that. We need to start comparing this to the 1929 crash, the Great Depression, and I believe by the time we get into the middle innings of this depression, this is going to dwarf the Great Depression. This will be the greatest depression on planet Earth. Nearly 1/3 of Americans had unpaid housing bills in August. Survey by Apartment List, an online rental platform, found 32% of renters and homeowners entered August with unpaid housing bills. At least 20% of respondents owed more than $1,000. Question: how are these people ever going to get caught up? They've already gone through their life savings, if they even had a savings. Any emergency fund that these people had, it's gone. Most of them didn't even have one. So now they're in the negative. How do these people get caught up? Most of these people are already one flat tire away from literally being homeless or on the street. And if it wasn't for these moratoriums, if it wasn't for the forbearance, many of these people would already be homeless. 49% have renegotiated lease agreements with landlords or are in the process of doing so. And you know, the landlords are in a really bad position here too, because most of them have mortgages on these properties. What do? If their renter's not paying them, they're not paying the bank. So this puts the bank in a very dangerous position, the landlord's in a dangerous position, the renter's in a very dangerous position. This is bad across the board, and it's not getting better. Even before the recession, the bottom 90% of Americans had massive debt and very limited savings. And we're finding out how just unprepared the average American was before this recession hit. You know, no savings, no emergency fund, no food put away. And so what do we have now? We have food shortages, 30 million people not eating 3 meals a day, people now falling behind on rent, they're in forbearances on mortgages, they're falling behind on credit card payments, they're falling behind on auto payments, school loan payments. Everybody is falling behind here. The question is, how do these people pull themselves out of the hole? Where is the light at the end of the tunnel? We're in the second round of this depression. We've got we've got to finish up the second inning, and we've got 7 more innings to go after this. It's going to get much, much worse, and these people are falling farther and farther into debt with no light at the end of the tunnel, more permanent job losses, more businesses closing down, more mom and pops, more restaurants. It's going to get very ugly. At the moment, 1/4 of all household income is derived from the government. With no timeline on the next round of stimulus, millions of Americans are going to be in very, very big trouble. The Senate is out till mid-September. Now I'm hearing that the $400 bonuses, if your state doesn't chip in the 100, it's going to be 300. So here in California, our governor, Newsom, has already said we're broke and that they can't chip in the 100. So people in California more likely will get $300 instead of $400. So that's 50% less than what they were getting when they were getting $600. And many other states are so broke, they're not going to be able to chip in the $100 either. So most people now who were anticipating the $400 bonuses will be getting $300. I was reading an article today. The recession is over for the rich, but the working class is far from recovered. The wealthy have recovered from the March crash, but the average American is far from recovered. Fewer than half of the jobs lost this spring have returned, and we are still losing jobs. Just take a look at what happened yesterday. But they made it sound like it was good news because it was under 1 million job losses. So that's great news. I believe at the height of the 2008 crash, we lost around 685,000 jobs. That was the worst week in history. And that was back in 2008. And now 967,000 is good news. I mean, the way they spin this propaganda is amazing. Who gets hit the hardest in recessions and depressions? Well, typically the middle class and the low wage earner. That's who's getting hit the hardest right now. When we look at the big companies like Nike, Best Buy, Walmart, Costco, all these companies, they're doing great while small business is being destroyed. We look at the Triple P program, corporations, you've got airlines, you've got casinos. all cutting in line for that money while the small business owner got smashed. The stock market is not the economy. Let's remember that, ladies and gentlemen. The economy is production and jobs. You know, you've got the 1% sitting in the stock market while the 99% are wondering how they're going to pay their bills, how they're going to keep a roof over their head, how they're going to prevent the repo man from taking their car, and they're tossing and turning overnight, wondering if they're going to have a job tomorrow. People may be able to work at home. We keep hearing everything's going to move back home. People can work at home. What are we going to do with all these vacant office buildings? What are we going to do with all the restaurants that are reliant on all those workers at those office buildings? What are we going to do with all this vacant real estate? But what are we going to do with the people who aren't reliant on working on a computer? It's great if you work on a computer and you can go home and work, but what about the people who don't work on a computer, the people who are more hands-on, who aren't these type of people whose jobs revolve around computers? The biggest threat right now to America is this massive debt. We are creating so much debt. We are so far past the point of no return. It can never be paid back. They don't even talk about paying it back. All they do is talk about printing more money and injecting more stimulus into this economy. The president is now wanting to send everybody $3,400. Now that sounds great and nobody's going to turn it down. But, you know, I mean, when you look at all these unemployment benefits, when you look at the $400 bonuses, the $600 bonuses, the $1,200 stimulus checks, now we're talking $3,400 stimulus checks. And look, nobody's going to turn the money down. I understand that. And most of all, I know people are hurting and need help. But I don't know how we're helping this country or this economy by continuing to devalue our currency, by continuing to print money out of thin air, continuing to just give money to people to stay at home. Why are we not starting to work on our infrastructure? Why are we not creating factories here in America? This is what we were told years ago. Why is this president just doing what everybody else has done? But now it's going on steroids. And I'm not here to criticize or to insult the president of the United States of America. But $3,400 stimulus checks, I mean, this is pure madness. We are going to pay such a price for all this money creation and all this debt creation, and I'm speechless where this is all going. But people aren't going to blink an eye. They're going to take the money, no doubt, especially as people are so desperate and reliant on the government now. But this is going to have huge ramifications down the road. And if you think that things are getting expensive at the grocery store right now, if you think that your health insurance is expensive right now, if you think the cost of living is expensive right now, what is taking place right now is going to no doubt bring hyperinflation to America. This is going to debase our currency. It is going to wipe it out. So as I read articles like this, it just reinforces my belief in owning gold, in owning silver, in owning assets, things that I can touch, things that I can get to in a time of emergency. Because let me tell you, this kind of debt creation, $3,400 stimulus checks, this is going to create an emergency in America. We are fast forwarding to the greatest depression on planet Earth by this kind of behavior, no doubt about it. Did Buffett just bet against the U.S.? Berkshire buys Barrick Gold, dumps Goldman Sachs. Very interesting article here in The Hedge. And what's really funny here is Warren Buffett used to just make fun of the gold buyer, the gold investor. Here's a couple quotes he made. It has no utility. Gold is a way of going long on fear. The magical metal was no match for the American metal. He just always mocked gold investors. So what's he done? He's dumped airlines, liquidated large amounts of his exposure to U.S. banks, and exiting Goldman Sachs. And what did he do? Berkshire took a new stake in 20.9 million shares in Barrick Gold. This is a mining company. $564 million in shares in Barrick Gold, a gold mining company. And what's also interesting is Warren's father was one of the great gold bugs of his time. So, has Warren seen the seen the light here? Maybe. This may be a very, very smart move here. So he exited banks and airlines, and he went into a gold mining company here, Barrick Gold. So very interesting. And if you're on the fence about buying metals, look, there is going to be volatility here. They've done very, very well this year, and they're looking great right now. But there may be more volatility. But at the end of the day, you either own them or you don't. And I believe right now is an incredible time to be purchasing them. I'm not giving any financial advice, but I will continue to purchase metals. And what do? I put them away. I put them in locations that I can get to in a time of emergency. I don't think about them. I don't care if silver goes up $1 or down $1. I don't care if gold goes up $100 or down $100. What I do care about is that I have them, I have access to them, and I can get to them because they are a life raft. They are a life jacket against this Titanic of an economy that is taking on water right now. It is inevitable where this is all going to go. This economy is collapsing right before your very eyes. And I don't care how great the stock market does. I don't care how many trolls write me and tell me that they made $400 today on the stock market, or they made $4,000 on the stock market. Look, you've got to gamble huge right now to make any type of money on the stock market. You've got to bet big to win big, and there is big risk. And too many people are going to stay at the poker table 1 second too long, and they're going to pay a very, very big price. I'm putting my money in assets that I can hold, that I can touch, that I can get to, whether that's a piece of land, a piece of farm property, whether that's cattle, whether that's a garden, whether that's security, brass. These are all assets that you're going to need. Look, after this election, I believe things are going to get extremely bad in America. And they're going to they are going to melt down into this election and beyond. But I believe after the election, things are going to get very, very serious. One more thing I want to close with. As we know, some sort of stimulus is coming to America, whether it's $1,200, $3,400, whatever it may be. Let me tell you, millions of Americans are not going to save that money. They're not going to put it in assets. They're not going to put it in their future. They're not going to save it. They're going to blow it. They're going to be out buying retail garbage at Walmart. They're going to be at Kohl's. They're going to be at Ross. They'll probably even go and take advantage of cheap rooms in Vegas. They'll probably go gamble at the casino. This is what millions of people are going to do with their stimulus checks, as they know that they're getting their unemployment benefits extended. They're going to get $300, maybe $400 in bonuses. They're going to, no doubt, millions of people will blow their stimulus checks. Do not be one of these people. These are the masses. These people are idiots. These people are the most unprepared, asleep people on the face of the earth. You do not want to be one of these people. Whatever you get, whether it's $1,200 or $3,400, be really smart here, ladies and gentlemen. Very serious times are approaching. They've already begun. Take a look around. I don't have to remind you of all the vacant real estate, all the vacant buildings, office buildings, restaurants, retail. I don't have to remind you about the homeless apocalypse that we are seeing take place in every state across America. I don't have to remind you of these things. You gotta really, really be awake here. So I'm going to wrap it up right here today. As I said earlier, if you're getting a stimulus check, if you're getting a bonus, be really smart here. Put the odds in your favor. Remember, this is only the second inning of this depression. There's 7 more innings to go, and every inning of this depression is going to be worse than the last. And so you want to put the odds in your favor. And how you prepare today is going to dictate how you survive tomorrow. So be very cautious with what's going on. Do not be complacent. The television is telling you that everything's going to be okay. The central bank and the government is going to save everything. The financial institutions are safe. The dollar is safe. Look, the dollar is under extreme pressure. The financial institutions are very weak, even though they're telling you they're not. And the central bank, the Federal Reserve, is running out of tricks here. It's running out of magic tricks. We're at 0% interest rates. They are printing money out of thin air. That's all they can do. And sooner or later, the world and the American people are going to lose faith in the US dollar, and it's game over. You're going to see the typical American living in a nightmare. The average American's standard of living is going to fall to a third world, literally overnight. But you know what? Right now, it's almost death by 1,000 cuts. And the razor blades keep slicing through this economy one by one by one. And we are watching this economy bleed out slowly. I believe it's going to accelerate at some point. And it's going to really, really be a scary time in America. It's already getting scary. You can look at the increase in violence and crime. You can see just something is completely wrong in the environment socially here. It is really a very exciting time, but also a very scary time here in America. So put the odds in your favor right now so that you survive this. Economically, politically, socially, and spiritually, we are in a war. Pray for America. Have a phenomenal weekend. Make sure you get out and do something in regards to preparation. It's a great weekend to go buy some water, some camp food, a little gold, a little silver, whatever you think you need to do. But it's a great weekend to add to your preparations, fine-tune your preparations, and we'll see what happens. God bless every one of you.